absolutely unbelievable. It's a tie game! Woo! Finally! Go Leafs, go! It's not baseball, but let's see a rally. Let's go Leafs!
Wow. Wow. What a roller coaster month this has been for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Over these past 3 weeks, we have seen the 2-goal leads disappear for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and then we've seen the Maple Leafs flip the script, and they've taken over the 2-goal leads in the past 2 games. We saw that against the New Jersey Devils tonight, and then against the Detroit Red Wings Saturday night. What a turn of events. Clarky, how are you doing tonight?
Just want to start off saying thanks for having me on, and hopefully everyone tuning in the channel. Stay a while, stay some comments. We got a lot to talk about tonight, but yeah, that was an intense game. You could say the Leafs didn't deserve to win that one, but they did. So, got to take the 2 points and move on. But right now, there's a lot of things to talk about in Leaf Nation, whether it's from goaltending to now. It used to be blowing leads, but now it's trying to claw back on games. And line changes, everything. There's a lot of things to talk about tonight, so let's get into it. I'm ready to go. Go Leafs, go. Let's go, baby.
There is a lot to talk about surrounding the Toronto Maple Leafs, but I just want to start off the show by having a talk in general about hockey, because we've seen these 2-goal leads disappear, and there's an old saying that the 2-goal lead is the worst lead in hockey. So, Clarky, after what we've seen over the past few weeks and just your hockey knowledge, is the 2-goal lead actually the worst lead in hockey?
I think so. Just in terms of it's a very deceiving lead because 2 goals. If you give one up, well, you got another one you have to give up to blow the lead. So in that way, I think it's deceiving. And also, just in general, well, I think that's the main point. Is it's psychologically very deceiving for the one team, whereas the other team, I think, 2 goals, there's always a chance, especially in a game like hockey where a couple bounces and you can be right back in it. So I'd say it is the most deceiving, worst lead in hockey for sure. How about you?
I agree with that. I do. I mean, it's like you have a 1-goal lead, and sure, that's never safe. But you got the 2-goal lead, and sometimes you might get a little overconfident, maybe a little cocky, and the other team, they're going to scratch and claw, fight their way back into it. And once they get 1 goal, the momentum usually swings so far in the other direction that it's really hard for the team with the 2-goal lead to recover from that.
Yeah, exactly. Goalies Go says yes, it's the worst lead. John Gray says, though, I guess it depends the team. He says if Florida gets a 2-goal lead, they win the game. So maybe it's just a Leafs thing, but that's maybe, a good point.
I mean, I feel like this 2-goal lead thing, it is just something that has been going on with the Maple Leafs as of late, but this is something that's been happening in hockey for years now. You can go back over 100 years of hockey history, and I don't know the exact number of 2-goal leads that are blown, but I'm sure there's a good number in there.
Yep. John's saying it's a defense thing. Leafs win, boys. Yep. Let's see some comments in here tonight. Let's see a lot of comments. I'm ready to go. Man, that game was very tolling though. Very tiring game because I thought the Leafs were gonna lose and then come back and then 2-goal deficit and then they come back and then they win the game. Took a lot out of me tonight.
It's a roller coaster of emotion watching the Toronto Maple Leafs, but over the past 3 weeks, ever since they returned from that extended break in December, it really seems as if it's been even more of a roller coaster ride. This is like the behemoth at Canada's Wonderland.
Yeah, I don't know about other people, but I'm not a huge fan of roller coasters. I'd rather have a little bit of a smooth sailing. I mean, the excitement It's enjoyable sometimes, but if every game's a roller coaster, after a while, your stomach's going to start to get sore and you're going to get sick. And that's what's happening to me right now. I don't know about all the Leaf fans in here. How you guys feeling about the past few wins? Because for me personally, they haven't instilled a lot of confidence in my belief in the Leafs right now. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I mean, it was nice to see them on the other end of the 2-goal lead comebacks, but at the same time, with that being said, you're not always gonna have the opportunity to come back from down 2 goals. I know we were just talking about how it's the worst lead in hockey, and I stand by that, but when you really, like as mentioned earlier, if you go down by 2 goals against the Florida Panthers early on and you're getting outshot, what was it, 9-3 when Jack Campbell was pulled? That's not a good start, and that's not something that's easy to bounce back from, especially against a top contending team in the league.
Yeah, for sure.
Cameron, I think that's a great point you make. Says they can't keep winning like this in the playoffs. This ain't gonna fly.
We got another perspective here, though. I don't know if I mispronounced your name. I'm sorry. Oh, Hot Tuna 2. Yeah. Life is a box of chocolates with the Leafs. Yeah. Forrest Gump reference. I like that. Dwayne Woods said could always be worse and not be able to come back. They're proving they can. What's wrong with that? It happens to all teams. So, putting a positive spin on things, saying the Leafs being able to come back shows that, they can overcome adversity and really come up to any challenge and pull out the win. So you could think of it that way. That's an optimistic way to view how the Leafs have performed recently.
It is very optimistic, but you could also take the pessimistic route and you could say, okay, they're taking these leads early in games, or they're falling early in games, and then they have to dig themselves out of it. They've been able to do that, but is that really sustainable? And to me, the answer is no. It's not
Fair
a
enough.
sustainable way of winning games, and we can go back a few years when the Maple Leafs defense was the problem, and it seems as if that's the problem again this season. What was the problem? It was always high-scoring games, and when you get to the playoffs, it's a whole different game.
Yeah, the game definitely slows down in the playoffs. So, I mean, Brian here has, I don't know if it's supposed to be a smart comment or he's kind of trolling here, but he says as long as you score more than you let in, you know. So he's got the point. I mean, the Leafs are scoring more than they're letting in still. So right now, that's simple math. You score more than you let in, you're going to win the game.
That's a great point. I mean, yeah, I mean that's the way it goes for basketball, hockey, football. That's sports. That's sports. As long as you can score more than the other team, you're gonna win. But with that being said, I still just there's different ways of winning, and this is the same can be said about any sport. There's different ways of winning games. You can have your dominant wins, and you can have, not that I want to say that what the Leafs are doing is a fluke, but you can have fluky wins where you come back and maybe you had no business in being in that game at all.
Yeah, for sure. I honestly felt that this game more than a lot of others, especially the first two periods. And I don't know what all the other fans felt about this, but the Leafs just did not deserve to be in that game for big parts of that game. They were outplayed, I think, in terms of speed, in terms of puck control, shots, goaltending. I think across the board, New Jersey was the better team up until the third period. Leafs brought it together and really, I think maybe it was a combination of New Jersey's inexperience combined with the Leafs, like Dwayne was saying, having the ability to come back against a team and score and take down a lead. I think the combination of those two things, but overall, the Leafs, if it wasn't for that third period and performances from not even Matthews, Marner, Kerfoot, Mikheyev, it was a team effort in the third period, I'd say, but it took 40 minutes to get there. So it's not the way you want to start a game and finish, I think.
Yeah, it was a great ending. It was a storybook ending for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and it was a great team effort in the third period. But you'd like to see them do that for a full 60 minutes because the game's 60 minutes. It's not 20 minutes. It's not 40. It's 60 with a chance to be more in overtime. You got to play a full 60 minutes. Sean Farrell brings up a great question, and we were actually discussing this before we came on. Who gets to start tomorrow? Is it going to be Jack Campbell or Peter Mrazek?
Tough question.
Mrazek's made, well, he didn't start tonight, but he made an appearance, played for most of the game, and he started Saturday night against the Detroit Red Wings when they came away with the victory then. So does Peter Mrazek get the nod tomorrow night in New Jersey, or do you go back to Jack Campbell before the All-Star break?
Do you want me to go or do you want to go?
I'll go. I think you could go Peter Mrazek because you do have a full week off before the All-Star break. But with that being said, I think I'm going to lean towards Jack Campbell. Peter Mrazek did recently come back from an injury. You don't necessarily want to overwork him right before the All-Star break. And Jack Campbell, in my opinion, I mean, you just want to get him back out there and hopefully help with his confidence.
Yeah, you know what? I have to agree with you. As much as I think right now, and I'm surprised I'm going to say this, but right now I think Mrazek might be the better goaltender in terms of performance of late. Not overall. I'm not jumping ship on Campbell, but just lately I think Mrazek might be a little bit more consistent. That being said, I think that one of the things, especially with goaltenders, is there's a lot of intangibles I talk about a lot of times. Confidence being one of them. So if you just cut Campbell starting tomorrow night, right before going to that All-Star game, I think it could cause some flurries in his own head. So I think it's best to go back to him for tomorrow night and see what he can do. And I mean, the Leafs still got the dub with pulling him early tonight. So push comes to shove, they'll just have to pull him again tomorrow. That might do more damage to his confidence, to be honest. I'm not too sure. But yeah, so I still think you got to go with Campbell tomorrow, but yeah, might be some cause for concern right now.
I think it definitely is a cause for concern. I think there's no doubt about it. That is a cause for concern, in my opinion. And like it could definitely hurt his confidence a bit more if he went out there and got shelled again tomorrow. That would definitely not be good for his confidence. But I think Peter Mrazek, again, like I said, he's coming back from injury recently, like just a couple weeks ago. He was out for an extended period of time, missed a lot of games. I just don't think that's a route that you necessarily want to go down again. And you don't want to overwork your goaltenders, just like you didn't want to overwork Jack Campbell earlier in the season. I don't think you want to overwork Peter Mrazek right now. I know they have a week off coming up, but in my opinion, you'd give Jack Campbell the nod tomorrow, even though Peter Mrazek was scheduled to get the start tomorrow.
Yeah, and we get the comments in a second. I agree with that. The only thing I'd add on to that too is I see a few comments like really touting about Mrazek, and I think Mrazek is a good goaltender, no doubt. He is getting paid almost $4 million though by the Toronto Maple Leafs, so that's another discussion. But he looked uncomfortable in the net tonight too. I think a bit. He was flopping around his crease a lot. He looked like a fish out of water at some points, especially at the end of the second period. So I think the Leafs were almost lucky not to let in a few more goals with Mrazek in the night. He did make some big time saves, but I wouldn't say he was just a solid rock at the back tonight either. Definitely pulled it together and helped the Leafs get the win, but there were some moments where it could have gone the other way with a couple bounces. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see tomorrow night. We got a lot of comments coming in here too. I don't know if we want to get to some.
Yeah, I want to get to this Chuck Fleet comment right here. Is Campbell hurt and not telling anyone? And I think this is something that it's our responsibility to discuss this. It's definitely a possibility. We don't want to speculate about any injuries that could be lingering, but we talk about Jack Campbell. We released a video just the other day. Is Jack Campbell experiencing a decline in performance right now? And I think we both agreed that it looks like he is. But if there's an injury that's playing a factor, that could be a possibility. Again, don't like to speculate though.
I'm not too sure. Maybe that's the case, or sometimes it might not be, again, I think this is a thing that isn't talked about enough in hockey, but might not be physical. Maybe he's going through something mentally right now, just in terms of his confidence and whatnot. I think, and that's not an injury. Well, you could consider that. Well, I'm not going to get into that, but just in general, like, hockey players, you get into mojos and whatnot, and they're professional athletes. You're going to have good days and good moods and bad moods and bad days other days. So I think right now, maybe he's just going through something in his head where goaltenders sometimes get tripped up on themselves. So we'll see, but I think he'll bounce back soon. You got to stay hopeful with Jack Campbell. He's shown a lot to this fan base the past 2 years, so I think we've got to believe in him still.
Yeah, he has shown a lot of promise, and just because he's had a few bad games, a rough stretch of games here, doesn't mean that Leafs Nation or the media should be jumping on him right now. We're just analyzing what we see out there, and what
Yep.
we've seen is Jack Campbell's had a decline in performance. There's no other way to say it. He's had a decline in his performance, and hopefully he can get back to that level. I truly believe he can get back to that level. I just don't think that's something that he can sustain for a really long period of time. Joe Shelder says, in a tandem, you go with the hot hand, right? And my belief on this is, to an extent, yes, to an extent, because if you're playing back-to-back games, like in this instance, you don't want to overwork your goaltenders and risk more injuries. These guys are facing shots coming in at
Yeah.
100 miles per hour, so you don't really want to overwork them. They're hitting the hard ice surface like no other player does constantly. So yes, to an extent, but Peter Mrazek played the majority of the game tonight. He played the whole game the other night against Detroit on Saturday. So I'm going Jack Campbell tomorrow if I'm Sheldon Keefe.
Yeah, you know what? I thought about it a bit. I think Joe's comment might be a little bit more valid this time around because they do have a break. So with that break, if you do play Mrazek tomorrow night, he's going to have a little bit of time off after. So you could make the argument there that, there is time for him to rest. But that being said, I agree. I think it's going to be Campbell. I would be kind of surprised it's Mrazek, but I wouldn't be upset because it's a tough decision right now, right before the break too.
Yeah, it is definitely a tough decision. There's a lot of thought that's going to go into it, and that's why we're not paid to make those decisions. But we're going to continue talking about this goaltending situation because it's a hot topic, and then we'll get to what transpired tonight. I know Austin Matthews had a hat trick. Mitch Marner continued his goal streak. There's a lot of positives, but right now, let's just dissect some statistics before we dive into that stuff. Because I sent out a tweet today after doing some digging, and Maple Leafs goaltender Jack Campbell has allowed 24 goals with a save percentage of .834 in his last 6 appearances. And then Sportsnet Stats tweeted out Leafs Jack Campbell in his last 7 starts an .865 save percentage with a .413 goals against average. Allowing 4 more goals per game isn't going to win you very many games in the NHL.
That's not pretty. And 7 games, so it's not like it's been a few. 7 games is a little bit concerning. It's a little bit of a stretch, but again, hopefully this break gives a little bit of confidence back to Campbell and the team, and they can tighten up defensively. Obviously, it's the middle of the season, so there's time to tighten up. But let's hope the Leafs get that out of their system now, because I agree with you. 4 goals a game, it doesn't matter what type of style of hockey you're playing. When it comes down to the playoffs, we all know that a team that lets in 4 goals a game consistently is not going to go very far.
Definitely agree 100%. And we can talk about the defense needs to be better. And yes, they need to be better, but Jack Campbell needs to be better as well. Just calling it how I see it. So let's cover tonight's game. What a fantastic comeback for the Toronto Maple Leafs again. Let's do the 3 stars tonight. Starting off with the 3rd star of the game, someone that doesn't get talked about very much, but he's been having a pretty big impact on this team since returning from injury. Ilya Mikheyev a goal and an assist. He had the game winner out there tonight on a beautiful feed from Alex Kerfoot. What'd you think of Mikheyev out there?
Yeah, I think, he was out for a while, but he's getting back in the lineup. And I think he's one of those types of players that really feeds off confidence and really getting opportunities. And he's been getting that a bit more each game. I think Mikheyev in that third line overall, although he got the goal with Kerfoot, the third line overall had a pretty decent game tonight. And I think Mikheyev overall, he's got a lot of speed. He brings a lot to the table. So as a supporting player, I think he's really been good lately. But you know what? Nothing negative. Good finish tonight. I mean, it's so easy to say, especially like I think of like playing a video game or, empty net. He got a pass right to him, just an easy finish. But that was still a pressure situation, and he came in clutch, and him and Kerfoot had good chemistry there. So he definitely deserves a star tonight, I think.
Yeah, that is a high pressure situation, and that's funny that you say that because it just instantly made me think back to when I was playing hockey when I was younger, and something like that would happen. I'd get a massive opportunity to just shoot it way wide of the net. It's when it's in those pressure situations, everything's a lot harder and a lot faster. And that was a great finish by Mikheyev.
Yeah, for sure.
Second star of the game, Mitchell Marner, a goal and 2 assists out there tonight. He is now on a 6-goal game streak, 6-game goal streak. And over that stretch of games, he has recorded 12 points.
Yeah, he looked good again too tonight. He's shooting more, and obviously traditional Mitchie getting a lot of assists and setting up plays. And again tonight, I think, I felt the Leafs played bad most of the game, to be honest. But in the third period, when they turned it up, he was a key part, and you could tell when those guys were coming over the boards, especially against some of these younger Devils. They were just wanting it, and I think Marner was one of those players leading the charge, and he had a really great game down the stretch tonight.
Definitely. He really stepped up his performance along with the rest of the team. They really came alive in the third period, and they took it over in this game. 4-goal third period tonight, and in Detroit on Saturday, they scored 5 goals in the third period in that one. So that's in 2 periods, both in the third period, 9 goals scored for the Toronto Maple Leafs over the past 2 games.
Hot Tuna says MM is blazing hot. That's a good way to put it. He is blazing hot right now.
Yeah, he is. He's been fantastic for this team. He is really he's on a tear right now. And you know who else is on a tear? Just last game, actually, last post-game show, someone said to me, "Oh, Austin Matthews didn't look great out there tonight. He didn't score any goals." And I said, I'm not really worried about it because he's going to follow it up with something big. And he did. 3 goals and an assist. He reached 400 career points with this performance tonight. Just outstanding game from Austin Matthews, capping it off with an empty netter.
Is he at 30 goals now or 29? Or 28?
I don't have that.
I'll look it up real quick. I'm going to look it up real quick.
I don't have that exact number, but he scores in bunches. That's what he does. And if I was
28 goals now. 28 goals now.
28 goals?
Yep.
Well, he had another multi-goal game out there tonight, and I sent out a tweet that in 372 NHL games, Austin Matthews has recorded multi-goal games in 46 of those games, which is 12.7% of his games in the NHL. 12.7% of the time he's going to score 2 goals.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, that shows again, and that's just the style of how he plays, where he gets one and he gets another. It's kind of like just muscle memory within a given game. He finds ways to score. He's such a smart player. I like watching Austin Matthews because he's always going somewhere on the ice. Like, he's never just standing around. He's the type of player, obviously, he gets a lot of goals, and that shows his record of success. But I think he does a lot of things off the puck where he's brilliant, and he's finding ways to not only score and get open, but I thought he's played a lot better defensively and more two-way the past couple of years, and really stepped it overall his whole game as a complete centerman in the NHL. So, I mean, definitely deserved number 1 in my eyes today for first star. But yeah, 3 goals, hat trick. amazing.
A great night for Austin Matthews tonight. Just another one to add to the list of outstanding nights and throughout his young NHL career. Just 372 NHL games to reach 400 career points. But I guess, Clarky, I was just kind of thinking about this, and a question popped in my head. Austin Matthews, you and I were no older than 25 years old, so Austin Matthews, is he the most dominant Maple Leafs player you've watched in your lifetime?
Oh, that's coming from the biggest Phil Kessel super fan out there. So, that's a tough one for me to say because Phil Kessel still has my heart. Austin Matthews is going to have to work a few more years because Phil Kessel, is a guy that likes cheeseburgers too and hot dogs. I really admired what Phil Kessel did on and off the ice. No, but overall, yeah, I think Matthews probably goal scoring is definitely the best I've probably seen in terms of like watching a player live. Yeah, I'd have to say he is.
Yeah, I don't really think there's much of a question. I know you're a big Phil Kessel fan. He had some great seasons in Toronto from his goal scoring perspective. He did some good things for this team, but he just wasn't in the right role in Toronto. When he went to Pittsburgh, he had a lot of success, won 2 Stanley Cups, and there's no coincidence there because he's a great player. He fit into their system better than he did here in Toronto. But
Yeah,
as for
I
Austin
agree.
Matthews, I think it's safe to say that not only the most dominant Maple Leafs player I've watched in my lifetime, but he's definitely one of the most dominant players I've ever watched. Not the most dominant. I'd say that's probably Sidney Crosby, Alex Ovechkin.
I'd say Ovechkin in terms of goal scoring.
Goal scoring, sure, Ovechkin, I'd say. But overall, just game, I think Sidney Crosby and Connor McDavid's got a chance to surpass him there.
Well, what I'm thinking too is scary. I think a lot of the young players, and we're talking about this last time I was on the post game show with Anaheim, but I think a lot of the young players coming up in the NHL are really good. And we saw another few good players on the other team tonight on the Devils and Jack Hughes, Hersher, Mercer. They got a lot of good young core there too. The Ducks had it with Drysdale and what's his name? The young guy,
Zegras,
Zegras, yeah, and also Sonny, who's in the
Milano.
AHL right now. But yeah, they had some talent, and obviously Detroit too. So there's a lot of young, great players, and it's tough to say. Like right now, we're talking about the most dominant players we've seen, but I'm sure in 20 years from now, it might be the generations that's coming up right now. So it's always evolving, and I think I'm a believer that over time, athletes get faster, stronger, smarter. And I think it's just going to continue to, going to continue to see that. But obviously, we're talking about outliers in talent with Ovechkin, Crosby, McDavid, and Austin Matthews.
Yeah, the game of hockey has got an exciting future. There's a lot of bright young talent, and this just keeps happening. The game keeps evolving, as you just said, and it's really fun to watch how the players progress throughout their career, all the way from junior up until the day they retire. It's great.
Yeah.
And if you haven't already, please make sure you smash the like button and hit the notification bell to be notified every time new content's released on Maple Leafs Media. If you're watching on Facebook, share this video, tell a friend to tell a friend. And if you have Twitter, follow me at Varco Sports. I'm trying to break into the sports journalism industry, so I'd appreciate any support there.
Yeah, Varco Sports. I mean, I was off Twitter for years, and Varco Sports got me back into it because Varco Sports and a lot of other young and up and coming sports journalists post a lot of great stats. But Varco Sports is just, it's got a ring to it. So I'd give it a follow if I were you. It's a great follow. I've got no bias whatsoever.
Thank you, Clarky. Appreciate that. Another player that's been great for the Toronto Maple Leafs that we haven't really talked about this game, and I've had this tracker going for the last few games here. Morgan Riley. Morgan Riley scored 23 points in his last 18 games. 33 points in 33 games since signing a contract extension, and credit goes to Luke Fox on Twitter for that statistic there. But Morgan Riley, because we're at the 41 game mark, we're at the halfway point through the season. He's currently on pace for 74 points in 82 games, which would actually surpass his previous record, personal best of 72 points in 82 games back in 2018-2019.
Yeah, he's on fire right now. I want to see some comments about Morgan Riley because I've definitely, both myself and a lot of fans on this channel in the past, put a lot of the blame when the Leafs have struggled on Morgan Riley at times. But I think Morgan Riley right now is definitely leading the charge on the defense. They need to tighten up a lot more. But I think him specifically, offensively as well as defensively, has come back into the role as being the number one defenseman on this team. And he's having a record season for himself and hopefully maybe even for Maple Leafs defenseman history if he keeps it up and has a few more multi-point games. And overall, he's just been unreal.
Yeah, it's going to be, as talking to you about that, it's like, can he reach the 79 points to tie Turnbull? I mean, I wouldn't put it by him the way he's playing right now, but I don't really see that happening. But he has taken his game to the next level. He's been fantastic for this team. And really, he's been an underappreciated player since he got drafted by the Maple Leafs back in 2012. He's been the heart and soul of the blue line. The blue line's gone through some trying times since he's been here, but that is not because of Morgan Riley.
Yeah, I mean, Hot Tuna's got a little bit of pushback here. He says Riley is -5 in the past 3 games. So maybe Riley, yeah, of late he's been a little bit off, but I think that whole defense, it's been some blowout games in terms of letting multi-goals in. So I think overall Leafs need to tighten up. But Riley, I think, is having a record season. And again, 27 years old. We got him long term. I think he's just hitting his prime now. And defensemen, I personally believe, peak a little bit later in the NHL. So he's going to have a few good years ahead of him, at least, I believe.
I believe so as well. And, I recall I brought up the plus-minus statistic on this channel a couple times in the past, and people have said that's the most useless statistic there is. And I don't believe that personally, but something that you also have to take into account when considering the plus-minus is that power play points aren't a plus for you. Morgan Riley is the quarterback of that power play. You got so many power play points, he rakes them up. So that's not really accounting for the power play points. I'm not sure that he's gotten any in the past 3 games, but that's not accounting for that either.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I mean, you can look at any stat, and if you really dissect the stat, you can tell a story, but you can also pick apart it and say, oh, -5, he's not playing well. If you're just looking at stat lines and not watching the games, it's very hard to analyze how a player's playing.
Definitely. And Jason Brooks says Riley has been playing with a chip on his shoulder since signing that contract extension. I agree. I've been saying that for quite some time. I feel as if that, and I don't know because I'm not in Morgan Riley's shoes, but it seems as if that could have definitely taken some weight off of his shoulders and let him play more freely.
Yeah, I mean, Brooksy, always love seeing your comments in here as well as everyone else. That's some great insight. I mean, we're trying to get into the psychology of the player with that comment where he's got his money now. He's got his long-term home locked up. He probably loves being in Toronto. He was drafted there. He's been here for almost 10 years now, or maybe 10 years.
10.
Yeah, 10 years. And, he's comfortable on the Leafs. So I think it's great that we got him long-term as well as he knows where he's going to be long-term. And I think that definitely helped him out and calm some nerves for him as well as the organization.
Definitely, it's got to be comforting knowing that you're going to be locked in the place you want to play for the next 8 seasons. That's definitely a great feeling. And
yeah, like these guys are human beings, right? Imagine playing every season and not knowing if it's going to be your last season there.
Exactly. It's not something that would be concerning because It's not just, okay, I have to work to get more money and a new contract. No, these people have families. They're just like you and I. They have families, they have lives, they have their life to live. So when you ask someone to move, there's a lot to consider. And I just, it seems as if Morgan Riley wants to be in Toronto. We talked about this earlier. Wolf Tank and Pokey says Jack is slipping over his last 5 games. Don't know what's up with him, and it could be a number of things. You could point to the defense being lackluster. Jack Campbell has let in some porous goals that shouldn't have got by him. It could be a confidence thing. It could be an injury thing, or it could just be a decline in his performance. We don't really have the answer for what it is, but one thing that we can say for certain is that as of late, he has not been what we saw from him earlier in the season.
Yeah, I agree. And you know what? I love all the comments in here right now, but I got to say, Brian, he just shot one in here at the bottom. I think this is one of the best comments I've seen here tonight. It's just relating what we just talked about. Maybe the contract for Campbell might be his problem too right now. I never thought of that. That could be a situation too. You know, he's trying to get his money at the end of the season, so might very well be the situation.
It could definitely be the case. That could definitely play a factor into it. We were just talking about the security, and you have more confidence in when you get that weight off your shoulders when you're playing for your team. You're locked up under contract, but I mean, we'll see. Now might be the best time for the Toronto Maple Leafs to try to extend Jack Campbell because he's on a downswing at the moment, and maybe you can get him for a bit cheaper of a dollar sign. But at the same time, if you're Jack Campbell, yeah, you probably want to get that contract done, but your play as of late hasn't helped the dollar sign there.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And Hot Tuna says, I think this is a fair comment. Campbell's probably not as great as his first 30 games and not as bad as his last 5. I think that's spot on comment from Hot Tuna.
Yep, Hot Tuna, love it.
Definitely. And so tomorrow night, these two teams go back at it. What are you expecting to see tomorrow night at the Prudential Center? I believe it's still called the Prudential Center down in New Jersey. Maybe a score prediction in that one?
I'm gonna say I'm gonna say 4-2 Devils. I'm gonna give it to the Devils tomorrow night because I think Toronto was lucky to win tonight, and I think just overall going back home in the Devils' den, I think they're gonna be a little. Yeah, I think they're gonna be a little bit motivated. They let that one get away from them. Obviously, they don't have their coach right now, so that adds a little bit of uncertainty. But I think overall, the Devils are going to come out on top tomorrow. Leafs are going to have some shaky goaltending too. Hopefully, I'm wrong.
See, I was kind of thinking the same thing earlier, and I'm not going to let tonight's performance sway me away from what I was believing. I think the New Jersey Devils are going to win. What did you say the score? 4-2? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
I could totally see that. I'll say, you know what,
I'd almost want to say like 6-4. It might be a shootout again.
It could be like a high-scoring game. You know what? I'm going to say 4-3 overtime. New Jersey Devils win. Sorry, Leafs Nation, but, you know, as Joe said, the New Jersey Devils came out to play tonight. They're going to be playing with extra motivation. They have John Gillies expected to be in goal tomorrow. He's got 1 win, 5 losses, and an overtime loss on the year. But the Maple Leafs goaltending situation's been rather shaky as of late as well. And we don't even know who's going to get the nod tomorrow, unless Sheldon Keefe has came out and announced that, and I'm unaware of it because we're on the stream. But I don't think we know who the starting goaltender is going to be tomorrow. There's a lot of uncertainty with that. I'm going to take the Devils. I'm going to take the Devils in an overtime 4-3.
Yeah,
How about in the comment section? Sorry, Clark, what were you saying?
No, I was going to say there's some comments that came in here too.
Okay, we got Jason Brooks says 4-3 Devils in overtime. Okay, 4-2, and I'm wondering, is this like a Leafs have a 3-1 lead, and because that's kind of what was going through my mind. I feel as if it could be another one of those nights where it's a 2-goal lead, because that's just been a recurring theme.
Yeah, I think that could be the situation, or the Leafs just they come back down like they did the night, and they just don't get a way to come back. I think that's how I see it. I think the Leafs are going to be down 4-0, 4-1. I just think they're going to come out flat-footed. I might be wrong though. This last game might have been a spark plug for them, so we'll have to wait and see. But I just don't see them winning.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Peter Mrazek in net, 5-3 Leafs. Chris Patterson says.
Like that.
Honking Antelope, 5-2. Net Tavares with a hat trick. That'd be great for Tavares, who will going into the All-Star break, but he's not an All-Star, so I guess he'll have a nice little vacation, a nice little week off. 2-1
Mhm.
for the Devils. That's going to be a low-scoring game from Chuck Fleet. And
2-1 Devils. Yeah, it's a low-scoring game.
2-1 we lose. I believe Henny M is a Leafs fan, so
I don't think he really watches hockey, to be honest with you.
JB says, "Hey, do you think we should worry about Campbell? Last time I came here, which was a few games ago, he said not to worry, but Campbell is missing something. Is Campbell missing something? Campbell is missing something." Okay. So we've been talking about this a lot, JB, and you can call it as it is. He's experiencing a decline in performance, whether it's injury related, uh, confidence related, something mentally like a confidence thing. Uh, there's a lot of things that this could be. It could just be a decline in his performance, but it remains to be seen if he can step it up, because what we've seen from Campbell has not been good enough. The defense in front of him hasn't been good enough either, but there's a couple saves that Jack Campbell should have made out there tonight. And ultimately, the Leafs were put in a bad situation because of the performance of Campbell and the defense and the team collectively through the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I see where JB is coming from in terms of it being a cause for concern. It's still the middle of the season, though, so I don't think there needs to be any trades done or anything like that, or last minute, Campbell's now our backup goalie. Like, I think overall he's just having a bad spell, and hopefully after the break he can come back and bring it back together. But all we can do right now as Leaf fans is try to support him and stay positive. Hopefully he's back.
And just for anyone that may not have seen the stats from Sportsnet stats, Jack Campbell in his last 7 starts, .865 save percentage, .413 goals against average. And then I tweeted out, and if you haven't already, please make sure you follow Varco Sports on Twitter. Maple Leafs goaltender Jack Campbell has led 24 goals with a save percentage of .834 in his last 6 appearances. 24 goals in 6 appearances and an .834 save percentage, .416 goals against average in the last 7 games. It's just not good enough. He needs to be better, and the defense in front of him also needs to be better.
Yeah, he got pulled for a reason tonight. I mean, the defense was not good in front of him, but he had a couple goals that just slipped under him, or he was out of position. And I think overall, yeah, I see this. So they didn't pull Campbell because he was bad. They pulled him because the team never came to play. Switching the goalie was more of a timeout. I disagree with that. I think that, yeah, the team was bad in front of him, but Campbell was not good. He let in 3 goals on 8 shots. The team, I think, obviously, sometimes it is a bit of a timeout, but they also need to just switch pace. And it was a message to the team and a message to Campbell that performance is unacceptable. So I disagree with that, but I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, and I also see where you're coming from with the comment. Yeah, that is something that a lot of coaches do early in games. If things aren't going your way, yank the goaltender, try to get the team into the game, get a fire lit under them. But really, it didn't really light a fire under them till 2 periods later in the 3rd period. Jack Campbell, in my opinion, did not have a good game out there tonight. And I don't like to be critical of players, but I call it as I see it out there tonight. There's a couple of saves that he should have made. And I mean, the Leafs got lucky tonight. They call it luck if you want. You can say they persevered, they pushed through, scratched and clawed their way back into this game, but they came away with 2 points. And they're going to have to go into New Jersey tomorrow night at the Prudential Center and hopefully finish off the first half of the season. I know this is official first half of the season, but All-Star break this week. So go into the All-Star break with another victory and maybe gain some more confidence tomorrow night.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, got to go out with a bang. All-Star game this weekend, so got to finish strong for the Leafs.
And Clarky, now's your opportunity to go out with a bang.
Just again, thanks for having me on. It was a good show tonight. Thanks for everyone that's tuning in, always seeing their comments. I got to be quiet right now because I was told I was being too loud, so I kind of whisper. But overall, it was a great show tonight, and I really appreciate everyone coming on. And thanks for having me on. And go Leafs, go! I think that I'll be excited for the All-Star game, and hopefully after the All-Star game, the Leafs can play a little bit more consistent hockey.
That's what happened. You got told to be quiet. I thought like you lost your voice midstream here or something. I was like, what's
No.
going on over there? But makes sense. And I've appreciate you coming on again, Clarky. It's always a great time when you're on here. Always great to have everyone in the comment section. And before I head off, I'm going to drop the link to my new Twitter account at Varco Sports. Again, I've mentioned this a number of times. I'm a sports journalism student trying to break into the industry. So if you could go give me a follow over there, I'd really appreciate that. Just drop the link on Facebook and YouTube. So thank you very much for tuning in tonight. Stay safe, everyone. Big Leafs win. Have a good night, and I'll hopefully see you tomorrow night. I'm not sure if I'll be here for a post-game show, but I'm going to try.